Oh, maybe that was it. Now can you guys hear me? Alright, I didn't realize I had that setting turned off. I apologize. One sec. Let me see if I can make it a little better. Is it any better now? Alright, sweet. Let's see. So I'm honestly just waiting for a setup here on gold right now. I don't know if we're gonna get it before 9 o'clock, which is in about 15 minutes. But I'll tell you guys what I was planning was, or what I was hoping for when London started. So when New York started, price was right here, right? It was around this area. Um, I actually was waiting to see the next liquidity level for me was uh, days high. I just have that marked because that was Friday's close, but it's not really that big of a deal. I was more interested in this. This is the current day's high, right? Asia high as well. So that was the next level that I was watching. I kind of wanted this to be that little sweep before price went up higher, but we haven't done that, and actually locally we've shifted structure for now. I know some, if those vertical lines annoy you, just bear with me. They kind of give me a better picture of what's going on, like for the weekly profile, especially on the lower time frame, but it can get kind of annoying when you're at the 4 hour time frame. But so I'll kind of go over what I'm thinking on the higher time frame first, yeah. So we've got I've got some annotations on there, just ignore it. That was from before. But so we've got this, you know, we had that crazy week last week. Now there's actually several reasons for it. I don't know which one's true, which one's not, right? Everybody has their own theory. But there's the whole Kevin Warsh factor, right? Trump nominating a new head for the Fed, a new chair for the Federal Reserve. That's one. And he's historically hawkish. So there's fear there that the dollar is going to get stronger, that rates are probably going to stay elevated for longer. So I think that was kind of the main news that came out on Friday, which started this whole cascading move lower. I do think there were a lot of liquidations that made it worse. Um, yeah, and then I think there was also futures rolling over contracts. I don't know, there's something about that. But it doesn't really matter, right? At the end of the day, we're just trying to trade this. So if the charts tell us one thing, we just kind of try to go with it. But if you guys remember, like, since New Year's, I think it might have been from here, I had like a bunch of trading plans going into the new day. And the problem with that was we just kept gapping higher on a lot of those days. And it was quite frustrating, to be honest. And now when we come down, we're closing out all those gaps. There's this last one. And the floor for me for this whole thing is, well, I hope I'm right. because I'm also exposed spot on gold, and this to me is, you know, in the long term, right, is a buying opportunity rather than something to just immediately panic about. But the structure for now, it's so, yeah, it's honestly just so disgusting the way that happened. Um, but there's all these lows that I'm watching to the downside, right? And I mean, I don't think we're gonna hit them today, no matter what. But we got that one, and then really the one after that that I'm watching is gonna be this one. Right, those two levels are the levels that I'm watching, and for me, that 3,900 level, that's what I'm hoping would be the floor if we even make it down that low. So I don't really want to see it. Maybe we go down. Oops, we go down slightly more all the way to down here, but I really don't want to see this level broken. That's the floor for me, and yeah, so on the 4 hour, this is really where the structure is like, okay, but we're not getting any lower highs right now. This is just a strong continued move lower. Yeah, there's been no real, retest of order blocks up here, no fair value gaps, nothing, right? So it's just been a straight move lower ever since the news came out on Friday afternoon. Right, even the 1 hour, this, we kind of had this retrace here to start Friday, but then we just went straight down after that. Look, if we don't make a new daily high, and on the lower time frame we kind of stick to what's happening right now, where this 1 hour becomes an engulfing, I'm gonna look for 9 a.m., which is in about 10 minutes, to do one of a couple of things. We could go all the way up to these highs, but that's now 1,000 pips away, right? But I want to see this level kind of hold. You see this last candle right here? I want to see that candle hold. That's really the level that I'll be watching if we make it up that high, right? But that zone, that's the one I'm going to be watching if we're going to go lower, in case we get a wick up there for a retest. Could also be that we just don't get any sweep at all, right? And price just moves lower. If that's the case, well, then the New York manipulation model isn't really gonna, it's not gonna present itself today, which is fine, right? I mean, it's not gonna be there every day, but a couple times a week is plenty. So we'll have to just wait and see. Then in that case, then what do you do? Well, you use different entry models, right? But for me, the one that I've been sharing, I think most openly on the Telegram, has been the New York manipulation. I think it's a good place for many traders to start. Not that model in particular, but having one model. The idea of having one model and just being disciplined and waiting for that, following the set of rules, and just being disciplined with it. I think that's a really good place because it just kind of builds good habits for then developing other models and being able to stick to those. But yeah, so this whole zone is where I'm watching. Right, if price trades up above this, then I'm thinking we go back all the way to 4,800 and take out those highs. But let's see. Yeah, well, honestly, right now it's just a bit of a waiting game. Let me take a look at silver, actually. Yeah, so I'm still expecting silver to take out these equal lows that I marked out in the Telegram earlier today. I think we sweep these lows right here at the $70. And I think we're going to get maybe a little bit of consolidation, and then price is going to dip down. Now, when you see a crash like this, it's not as simple as just getting a V reversal and going up. I think that very rarely happens. I'm not ruling it out. Ultimately, anything can happen, but I just don't see that happening right this instance, right? Instead, what I'd rather see is for price to kind of find a range to form here, to reaccumulate before price begins to move up higher again after the accumulation. I don't really just want to see it move down and then it move straight up. I'd much rather see reaccumulation with a sweep of these lows. But it's hard to stay bearish on silver either in the long run. I mean, I think everybody knows about the fundamentals at this point, how important it is to the whole EV thing, to you know AI and everything, all the things that are going to be built there. Silver is just going to be a very important piece of metal to help that. But right now, you throw the fundamentals out and you just worry about the technicals. So let's see if we can, get a move. By the way, while we're waiting here, if there's any chart that you guys want me to look at, you just let me know. And, I'll do my best to just take a look and share what I feel about it. But for now, it's just a bit of a waiting game with gold. We could also see there is also the other possibility, right? We could manipulate below these lows at the 930 and then kind of go back up, all the way back up here. So yeah, that's gonna really be my two things that I'm looking at. It's either we sweep down below these lows. That to me would be valid New York manipulation, and then if we get a reaction, then I might look for a move back up here. Because like I said, I was looking for new daily highs when price came here, but we fell short of it about 7:30, and then we decided to start coming back down instead. Right, so yeah, I don't know. This could be like a little manipulation into a liquidity level before we then make that move high, up to the highs, to new current daily highs. So yeah, either into this, which we're kind of tapping at right now, and we just get a swift rejection, or we get a sweep below these liquidity levels, and then a move back up. Yeah, so let's take a look at NQ. I think my data is actually delayed right now for NAS, so I'm just going to look at NAS 100, US 100. My data for futures is delayed because I'm not currently trading with a futures prop firm. Right, I was getting my data from them. I think this is what ICT was kind of annoyed about, this crazy range going on with NASDAQ. Did we get a SMT? Hold on. We did, yeah, ES made new highs. NASDAQ did not. Dollars actually. Okay, so let's just talk about this really quick. So I wanted after we got that buyback on Friday. My game plan for today for dollar index was actually to come up into this gap at least to fill it up, right? We opened last week with a big gap to the downside right there. And instead of filling it, we just kind of ranged, and then we started dropping Tuesday. And I think that was the low of the week, right? After that, we just kind of had that range until Friday when the news came out. Started pushing back higher, came for that gap. I personally, I think we reach up to the 97 to this fair value gap. I don't know if we do that today, but that's what I'm looking at for dollar. And I think it just started making its move a couple of hours ago. Till then, it was just kind of flat. So I didn't check it out after that. But let's go back to NAS real quick. So just based off structure alone, right? It's kind of hard to be a little like on this local time frame. It's hard for me to be bullish on this, just because we're making our way down, and it seems like this is the next draw. Right, so let's mark that out. That to me, right? That would be the next draw. So we are trading. Excuse me. We are trading inside this fair value gap right now. This one. Hold on. All right, so let me kind of run you through my thought process here for NASDAQ. So on the daily, we saw just now, it's just kind of a bit of an ugly range, right? At least for, since November, October, for the most part. We're just moving sideways over here. We swept these highs, but not this one. We swept these ones, right? These equal highs over here. Made that high, and then we've been moving lower since. With that S&T on ES, I mean, we did sweep these lows. That's one thing. This one right here. But the structure on the 4-hour is still bearish, right? But if this current fair value gap gets rejected, so even though the daily is kind of ranging based on the structure on the lower time frame, I'm thinking to myself, all right, there's no reason for me to flip bullish just yet. Right, then the first sign for me, or to reevaluate, would be if this fair value gap is rejected. If we make our way up back above this fair value gap, we start closing above it, then to me that would be a move down to take this low, and then we have an inverse fair value gap. We might see it get respected for a continuation higher into premium prices, maybe up even to these highs. That's what I'm thinking for now. Because 9:30 open, so let's see. It's in about 15, 20, 30 minutes. (9:30) opens in 30 minutes, yeah. So, I mean, we could just see a continuation, right? And then I think the 4-hour candle is going to close. Let me just check that again. Does it close at... Yeah, it's going to close in an hour at 10 a.m. So I want to see how this candle closes at 10. If we're above it, then I'm looking for, this is going to be an inverse fair value gap, and I'm looking for price to maybe go all the way up to these highs. That's what I'm thinking for NASDAQ. So I want to see how price closes, and how it opens at the 9:30 open, and then how it closes at 10. Because even though on the daily or on the 4-hour, this is what I'm looking for, we might go up for these highs into a premium before it then goes back down there, if at all, right? And for me, that would be up here. That would be the first level that I think price would want to go to. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking about for NASDAQ. So I know I outlined this level as right, the first scenario for me was a retest of this before a move lower. The reason why I'm not taking this trade right now as well for two reasons. The first is I want to stick to the New York manipulation. And the New York manipulation, the first thing is that there's a liquidity sweep of, usually the London highs or lows. That's the first thing, right? Or like, this would be a valid liquidity sweep. Notice how this is, this high that we made, it's not a high in the middle of a trend. So for example, you look at these swing highs, right? If price, swept those highs before all of this happened, it wouldn't be as valid to me. Why? Because this is a sideways high. The types of highs that I want to see swept, or the type of lows that I want to see swept, are the ones where you actually have a move up and a move down. So when price is moving up again, those are the highs that I want to see swept. Those tend to work out better for me. So usually, in order for there to have been, a high, like a move up and then a move down and a swing level formed there, a lot of time needs to have passed, right? So usually that happens in between sessions, which is why traditionally, at least in my experience, when I see a high or a low swept for the New York manipulation, it's the London highs or lows that are swept. But we did have a high here, formed it around 750, right? So if price does come up and sweep that, that would be what I want to see. Or these lows, right? So you see how there's a proper move down and then a move up. So like these lows, I'm watching them, seeing those get swept, and then I'd be interested in a reaction. And treat it as a manipulation, right? The sweep. So that's why I'm not taking this, because this would be more of a continuation model after this local shift in structure. But like I said, after we bounced this low, after we moved down this low and bounced, I wouldn't even be surprised if we got a sweep under one of these two levels, this one or this one. This one is what I'm really more interested in. And then we get a reaction to go make new daily highs, right? Which would be up here. That's really the trading idea that I would want for now. My window will probably be till about 9:40. So about a half hour more, just because I have something to do after. But ideally I want to see these moves happen in that 9 to 9:30 window, even 8:30 to 9:30. But last week most of the manipulation happened after 9:30. So I don't know. Well, I'll give it a little bit of time, but yeah, I do have something to do after at 9:40, so I won't be sticking around if anything happens after that. But I will update it in the Telegram though, so you guys will see me say it there. I think Bitcoin had a pretty decent dip today too, and then it got bought back. Yeah, so I just don't feel like this is done. Let me go down. It's just too clean. These lows, they're just literally equal lows. I just don't think it's done. I feel like we go lower and sweep those. And the level is going to be this fair value gap to watch for me. If price trades up here, all right, 79,000, hit that fair value gap. Maybe even down to this swing low, get that SR flip, and then reverse. And it's a very similar idea to what we saw over here to start the year, right? I had that weekly fair value gap marked out. I wanted to see price come up here. I just didn't execute my plan, even though I laid it out in 2 consecutive weekly outlooks. But I wanted price to come up here. It did, kind of grinded there, and then I said, okay, it looks like it's holding. Maybe we go higher. And then on Monday, this was, there you go, Sunday, right? Sunday, 18 January. It falls straight through. And then when we broke through this gray zone was you see how that's resistance. This was support for that one test, but then it was pretty much resistance, and then we just go all the way down to the 74K level that I had marked. So I was a little mad at myself last week for not acting on that, but I've been like half out of crypto for so long. The confidence to execute the trades just isn't there as much, to be honest. You want to, well, I mean, I prefer taking trades on things that I'm back testing and watching again and again and again. And to be quite frank, as I keep an eye on Bitcoin more in the long run rather than, intraday, every hour kind of thing, which used to be the case until about a year and a half ago. I'm going to get rid of, just kind of annotate the chart a little bit. Right here. So this is the game plan, the ideal game plan that I want. Do we get it? I don't know, right? But like I said, there's the alternative, which was the first scenario I laid out. Price comes up into this gray box. Since we've already swept the highs, we swept these highs right here, right? Swept it right before 8 o'clock, around 7:30, and then price came down. So now this is the level for me to watch. If first scenario is comes up here, rejected, continues lower, and for now we're unable to get up above it. But the second case is I want to see a manipulation down here, maybe even down under these lows, and then we start making our way up. Okay, now it's not necessary we go to this level right now. This is still 150, no, not 150, sorry, 1,500 pips away, right, for gold. So the first target is just going to be here, which is also now nearly 1,000 pips away. So, the volatility on gold has been absolutely insane last couple of weeks. Most times you're looking at 40, 50 pip trades, maybe a couple hundred pip trades. Now you're looking at thousands of pips within a session. Honestly, right now it's just a waiting game. We have about 15 minutes till the 9:30 open. We'll see what happens. Again, while waiting, if you guys got any questions, just feel free to let me know. Right? Most of trading is just waiting for your setup to come about, and if it doesn't, you let it go. You want to be disciplined with your setup, with your models. So, full disclosure, I am going to be taking a trade here. I mean, I just don't feel like hiding it. You know, if I lose, I lose. I'm going to lose in front of you guys. It's not the New York manipulation. I'm just going to be up front. If this candle closes like this, I am taking a short trade in about seven seconds. Right? I'm going to target new lows with my stops right up there. Yeah, so I'm already in my trade. It's on MetaTrader, so I don't know how to show it here. But I have taken my entry, and it looks something like this. Because this is based on the first scenario that I was telling you guys about. Right, the entry was on that candle closure. Oh, targeting that. And no, I don't advise anyone to take it. Not at all. I'm just targeting lows down here. 46.60. Those lows, right? I mean, I am going to probably take some off here at the 46.68. Usually swing lows like that. Like this is the low hanging fruit for this short trade, right? So I think I explained this in the last live stream. The low hanging fruit is basically going to be I think ICT really put it together with trading, but what it is it's the first target that I have or that you want to have when you take a trade. Usually it's a new low or a new high in the structure that you're trading. So given that this is the structure that we're trading, I'm thinking this is a lower high, right? And I'm expecting now we make a new lower low. So that would be the first target, right? To make a new lower low. And then once that hits, then I can look to potentially moving my stops to break even so that I can guarantee that it's a green trade for myself. But yeah, this level would be the ultimate target. So, but yeah, right now over here, that 69 level for me is TP1 and then move my stops to break even, which isn't necessarily like something that anyone is a fan of, because sometimes you miss out on more profits, or when you move your stops too early you can get stopped out, because gold often has those deep retraces before a continuation, right? But that's fine for me, given how volatile gold can be in general. My first priority is minimizing risk, and then it's it's actually paying myself and then minimizing risk right instantly. So sometimes I'm gonna lose a trade because I got a little too aggressive with my trail or whatever. It's not a big deal, not to me at least. Right, you see that how it just went up. What was that? About 150 pips in about 1 minute. Right, it's exactly why I want to trail my stops if we're able to hit the first TP. Yeah. Now more than ever, the stops are really tough, right? Because the live that I had on Friday, I think there was like a $40 stop, and I don't know if it was a trade that I had placed there. It was a scenario that I was talking about, but I remember talking about a $40 or $50 stop, and it's really hard because if you're on one of the well, number one, if you're on a smaller account, your own personal, or even a small prop firm account, right? Maybe one of those $2,500, $5,000. The smallest lot size in gold is 0.01 for a lot of these brokers, and if you've got a $40 stop loss, you're basically risking $40 even with the smallest size, even with the smallest lot size. That can be like, that's not optimal risk for many people who are trying to maybe, you hear the standard risk is like 0.5%, 1 to 3%, something like that. So it gets tough with those smaller accounts with gold sometimes. So you either got to have the heart to go for it, or you I don't know. I think some brokers offer micro lots. You'd have to really look for those. I like even smaller than I forget the term, but it's like when you can go smaller than 0.01 lots. I think now more than ever, people are probably looking for it given the volatility. I mean, you're getting 1,000 pip moves in like 10, 15 minutes, right? So it is pretty nuts right now. But I do expect it to settle down eventually. I think the reason why it's been this way is just because of the insane rally that we had to start the year. Yeah, I really am not a fan of the way it's going up in the 1 minute, but it is what it is. If I lose, I lose. What is it? 2 minutes until the New York Open. Yeah. Why do I feel like we're gonna go sweep that and then we're gonna go for the lows? I feel like that's a real possibility as well, especially with this happening right before the 9:30 Open. All right, that's the stop for me. Wait, did I get stopped? Yeah, I did. No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't adjust my stop loss because I already took my entry with a stop loss in mind, right? So if I adjust it, and even though I have conviction and I turn out to be wrong, I am now losing more than what I had planned for when I initially entered the trade. So I don't want to take that risk, and especially for if you're trading with a prop firm, it's you could blow your account doing that. So if it's your personal account, it's slightly different, but yeah. All right, well, that's the 9:30 open. Let's see what happens in these 10 minutes before I call it. Sometimes that's the really tricky thing about taking the trade right before 9:30 as well, right? Is that you get these manipulation moves up and down, or you get just these volatile moves, and you get caught up in it. So this is exactly why I gave that disclosure or this disclaimer. Like I said, I want to keep this for the New York manipulation, but I also don't want to be dishonest or not transparent and take something and then later say I took it. I did give out a scenario where this was the level I was watching, and if we came up, I wanted to see a move down. Um, when I saw, so let's go back to the 5 minute. So when I saw that rejection over there, that bearish engulfing, right after making this, I thought we were going for that lows then. So I took my entry. But no, we're not. We did not come back down there. So we stick with the New York manipulation. I still think we're gonna go up. Well, I mean, you either get one or two things here, right? For me, we're gonna sweep those highs. There's gonna be a fake out, move back down to those lows, given that we're still in this zone. But I think if we get up above this gray zone, I think we move up to 48.10. What would have been ideal for me was the original plan where we got that manipulation down here and then went up. That would have been a solid entry. I'm just gonna watch this for about 5 minutes and then because I'm probably not gonna take a trade. I wanted it. If I took a long, I wanted it from down here, and I ended up taking the short from here. So I don't think there's gonna be enough time for it to come down here and then go up there. All right, I'm probably just gonna, I'm still expecting price to go up here. Given that, no, we just closed up above it, so I'm thinking we are gonna end up making way for that target. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna go off stream now just because I got some place to be. So good luck to those who are gonna be doing anything with this.